Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Today is the 5th of November, and it is known as Guy Fawkes Day. It is basically remembered for a night on the 5th of November in 1605, when a man was prevented from and arrested by attempting to carry out an explosion against both houses of the Parliament of England in the reign of King James I of England. And today's film that I wanted to go on and review is DC Comics' feature film directed in 2005 by James McTeague. Now, James McTeague has directed in quite a few films himself before this film as more of an assistant director and a second unit director, and vice versa for films such as Dark City, the Matrix trilogy, Star Wars Episode 2, and much later on Speed Racer. But I'll get back to that momentarily. So this film is set in the world of DC Comics. One of the things you have to realize is this film is actually, this actually goes back much further to the year of 1982, when Alan Moore, who is the writer for the comic book series of V for Vendetta, penned for and artistically drew for a magazine then known as Warrior, which I believe eventually became the magazine Vertigo. I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but the magazine Warrior was founded by a guy by the name of Des Skin. In 1982, the world of V for Vendetta was a dystopian thriller set in the future of 1997, where a fascist government controlled Britain at the time, opposed by a lone anarchist dressed in a Guy Fawkes costume who turned to terrorism to topple the government. So ultimately, that's exactly what we have here in this film. I just wanted to show you this DVD edition to show you that since I am totally against Blu-ray, this is why this is so cool. See how that changes? Look at that slipcover. I mean, that is just fucking awesome. And then this comes with a V for Vendetta comic book. I mean, look at this. This is beautiful by Alan Moore, who also was behind the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, some of the legends behind Swamp Thing and comics, as well as a previous effort into the graphic comic world that From Hell was based on. From Hell, dealing with Jack the Ripper, and that was also written and graphically drawn by Alan Moore. So this has an all-star cast of some brilliance. In fact, I mean, we have Natalie Portman, who plays Evie, who is evidently an employee for a news room, which is evidently kind of like the source of information for this government. And we got Hugo Weaving, Stephen Rea from previously he was in a serial killer feature, which I believe was called the Fear.com, which I know some people hated, but I actually enjoyed his performance as the evil, sadistic character. And here he's kind of like a semi-hero. But going back to Hugo Weaving, this was somewhat shortly, I think, after he'd done the Matrix trilogy, which, believe it or not, the Matrix trilogy was directed by the Wachowski brothers, and they had written some of this film, I believe. So that bearing in mind, you have Hugo Weaving, who plays this character of V, and as the story opens, the character of V ends up meeting Evie as she was being attacked by some attackers, and so he saves her from these attackers, and then somehow some evidence of Evie ends up in the police's hand, and they are in search of her. Now, V ultimately goes to her place of work and uses the newsroom to get out a message to remind the people of this dystopian, futuristic world about the crimes of the past, and why it is important to remember what happened on November 5th. So he sets in motion a futuristic event that a year from now, that he wants the people of this world to stand up against him for justice sake. All the while we are learning that evidently this V character has actually been part of an experiment where he was partially kind of like a miracle, like a mutant of some sort, kind of like an X-Men. And we realized that this character was created by the government. And while this all is happening, the detective involved, played by Stephen Ray, which is Finch, he is uncovering a plot that is within the government, and then later on we have some political parties, evidently, which John Hurt plays the High Chancellor Adam Sutler, and I swear, every time we see this High Chancellor, you never see him for real, so you get the feeling like he was never on set until the actual end. So but in any case, one of the things I absolutely love about this film is that the fact that the character of V, which is played by Hugo Weaving eloquently, it's like he's kind of a character that speaks eloquently, knows about dance, but has a love of one of my favorite stories, which is The Count of Monte Cristo, which is about a man who was in prison by the name of Edward Dantes, and he overcame his obstacles by enacting his revenge on the people involved in destroying his life. And that, in a sense, is exactly the same mission that V is on. So, but Evie is like the counterbalance of this V character. So she changes his life. So halfway through the plot that he was going to go through with, he leaves the final decision up to her. And ultimately, that is what this story is kind of all about. But behind all of this is kind of fingers pointing at the government. It's kind of a political statement as well. I mean, you've got this Adam Sutler character who started off in a conservative political party. You can see that the background of his pulpits are red and black, kind of like you see in on the dark side of the Empire in Star Wars. So I can see how the director, since he has worked on Star Wars before, he used that same personage of Hitler. And in a sense, Sutler is kind of a Hitler character. If you see the speeches of Hitler, he looks exactly like this man. So I believe that, in a sense, that I don't know whether that's intentional or not, but I like that it leaves it open as to which party is actually totally responsible for the reason why these people have all stood up against this government. And I love that moment at the very end when the army of fascist men who are working for the government stand up against this crowd of people and all of these Guy Fawkes masks. How much of a statement that makes. I mean, there's got to be something wrong if a whole entire world of people are against you. So I ultimately loved this film through and through. This is if I had to pick a comic book character, and I know that friends of mine have asked me to go on about superhero films. I'm not really that huge into the Marvel universe. I think that they are overly talked about. But this is my favorite comic book film, if I had to choose one. And I love the performances by all, especially that speech that he makes when he first meets Natalie Portman's character with all the V's. That was just phenomenal, and I just love the atmosphere of the film. You know what? The lair of V where he lives kind of reminds me of the lair of Vincent's in the original Beauty and the Beast television series, and I used to watch that on Sci-Fi Channel. So hopefully you enjoyed my description of this film. Definitely like and subscribe to my channel if you have not. Definitely. Check out my other reviews. Check out some of my future reviews. I will definitely have some more cool things for you. I hope you enjoyed my treason for reason tonight. So, yeah, there it is. V for Vendetta, and it is perfectly fine on a DVD. There is no reason why I have to own a Blu-ray for this. So thank you. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Appreciate the time and the listening. Have a great day.